So this isn't actually a video I wanted to make because I didn't really want to get involved in UKIP's internal politics because I don't want to I want to support the party, right? I don't want to lead it or be influential in that regard. I'm really not looking to do that kind of thing. But I find this whole situation rather disturbing for many different reasons. I'm going to go through them after I've let you know what's going on. So, as you can see by this KIP Essential article here, UKIP betrayal. NEC blocks Batten from standing going against the party's own rulebook. What's happened is that Gerard Batten was interim leader for a year. That time came up after the MEP elections, and Gerard decided that he wanted to retire. After a great deal of pressure, he said, fine, I will, in fact, throw my hat into the ring and run for the leadership again, because UKIP's a democratic party, so they've got a national executive committee and we vote for the leaders that we want, which is very nice. And it was because of pressure from the membership, because Gerard Batten's very popular with the membership, that he decided that he would run again. There are a lot of people saying, look, please run. You know, don't be disheartened by what I would call a reconfiguration, a changing of the way that things are done, because I think that Gerard's actually ahead of the curve here, and this is something that UKIP has always been, is ahead of the curve. And I think that we should actually embrace that, because this is something that I think is correct. And everyone wants to say, oh, it's you that's done everything. No, not really. I'm not really that important. It's Tommy Robinson that's the issue that everyone has with Gerard, I think. The people who oppose him, it's Tommy, really. You know, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, myself and Dankula were, not wildly contributing to their positive view of things, but it's Tommy. That's you've got to understand that in Britain, Tommy Robinson's name is used by the sort of London media establishment as just, you know, this is the bad man. Totally unfairly, obviously, but anyway, what are you going to do? So anyway, yeah, Gerard was prevented from running for the leadership by the interim leader, Piers Wowchop. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I apologise, Piers. But he'd sent apparently a terribly worded email to members in which he stated that Batten had been barred by the NEC from standing, except included no real explanation as to why this was so. Gerard Batten has brought the party into disrepute by his actions and associations, and should therefore not be allowed to stand for the leadership of the party. That's pretty strong stuff. And I find it very interesting that that's the case, given how popular Batten is with the membership. You know, because he... And this is the thing, like, whenever he was asked, why did he take Tommy on as advisor, and why did he take us on? He was always, you know, his response was, well, I just thought it was the right thing to do. I thought it was morally right to do this. And I agree with him. I really do agree with him. I think that these are people who have suffered, and, you know, the sort of people he's supporting here are people who have genuinely suffered and who do not have any kind of representation anywhere else. No one cares about them. If anything, everyone would rather if they went away, which they're not going to, I think. And I think that he did do the right thing. I think that he did it at the wrong time. I think he moved too hastily, perhaps. But anyway, that is beside the point. I mean, Tommy was only just an advisor, and really, I think it was more of a symbol, you know, symbolic gesture. But the other candidates, someone called Ben Walker, who is an ex-Tory councillor. I'm not familiar with him, to be honest, but he'd previously been fined £11,000 by Bristol Magistrates Court earlier this year for breaching building regulation rules. So, but I mean, to me, you know, I don't know anything about it, and that doesn't sound very bad to me, to be honest. It's just a fine. But anyway, so Piers actually did give us an answer as to why this is the case, and it's this answer I wanted to talk about because I find this very interesting. He sent this email to UKIP members. Dear member, on Sunday the 7th of July, the NEC voted to not allow Gerard Batten to stand. The NEC is the party's governing body. Every NEC member is elected by party members, and every NEC member is an activist who works for no financial reward to bring about the best results for the party. Well, I suppose that's the case in point and the question that we all need to ask, isn't it? What exactly is the best for the party? The NEC found that Gerard brought the party into disrepute by allying UKIP to people detrimental to the party's reputation and failing in his duty to either defend or explain his decisions and our policies to the wider public. That seems unfair, really, doesn't it? Because, I mean, Gerard's had nothing but the media coming after him because of his associations with Tommy Robinson, and he has defended this over and over and over. He's had to. He's been forced to. And so I find it kind of just, it seems disingenuous to me to say that. But such a failure in a leader has caused the party great damage. We are not a far-right party, and Gerard's new direction is not working for us. Okay, now that's the important thing, isn't it? What the hell does far-right mean? I mean, as far as I can tell, it means nativist. And if UKIP isn't a nativist party, I don't know what is. I mean, like, what? I mean, it's not the policies that you have a problem with, right? I mean, he wrote the interim manifesto, and it's a really good manifesto. There is literally only one thing in the manifesto that I find objection to, and that's the desire to revive coal power plants. Personally, I'd replace that line with nuclear power plants, and then I'd say, well, this is a great manifesto. I don't see any problems with it, to be honest. But no one was complaining about the manifesto, and no one was suggesting that the manifesto was like far right. I mean, and again, we have to really define this term, far right. What do you mean? You know, because I think that you're not saying fascist or Nazi, because obviously, I'm sure Piers isn't a Nazi. I'm sure he doesn't support that kind of thing. I'm sure that he wouldn't join a party that supported that kind of thing. And so, what do we mean? You know, I'm sure he doesn't think Gerard's a Nazi. So, what on earth does far right mean? Because as far as I can tell, it just means nativist. It means realist as well, frankly. But Gerard's new direction is not working for us. Well, what's your plan? Like, do you intend to become Tory light or something? Is that what you're going to do? I mean, what exactly is the problem here? UKIP was being manoeuvred into being not so much a political party as a street protest movement. Well, I think that getting out and protesting is probably a useful thing. I mean, you know, Jess Phillips did it, didn't she? She's protesting. She's going out and talking to people in the streets in Birmingham and things like that. I don't see that that's a problem. I actually think that more politicians should do that. They should go and actually get involved with what people are talking about. But hey, what do I know? Far right. We had our worst result ever at the European elections. Before that, in the May local elections, we performed badly, even though even when we had the field to ourselves. At this crucial time in British politics, rather than focus on the Brexit debate, we simply drifted off the radar. Yes, but there's not really a lot we can do in the Brexit argument. You can't really get around the fact that Nigel Farage has got Brexit sewn up. You know, it's his baby. He was the face of it. He's running the Brexit party. They have the money and backing. There's not a lot UKIP can do in this regard, in my opinion. And the thing is, it's not like this will be permanent either. In a poll of Tory party members, so not the general public, but the membership, who have been leaning towards the Brexit party because of the Conservatives' weakness on Brexit, have said that they would go back to the Conservatives if Boris can deliver Brexit. I mean, 92% of them, so like 35% of the Conservative membership are voting Brexit party at the moment, leaving 56% who would vote for them if we didn't leave, which is a huge slice that they can lose. However, if we do leave on October the 31st, 92% will carry on voting Conservative. So I don't know how representative that is of the general public, but I suspect it probably is. You know, once Brexit's done, the mandate for the Brexit party's gone, and as Anne Widdecombe said, Brexit's about one issue only. You know, so it's like, okay, well there we go. You know, but UKIP is not just about one issue only. UKIP has a whole slate of issues that they're concerned about. They have a very good manifesto. I think that UKIP just needs to bide their time. Anyway, these errors were compounded by a leader who refused to speak to the mainstream media. That's not true. He did loads and loads and loads of interviews with the media. And it got to the point where the BBC were just openly coming up to him and saying, so UKIP's a racist party then? I mean, what the hell's he meant to do with that, man? Do you think that the next UKIP leader isn't going to get the same treatment? Do you think the BBC are going to be, oh, well, it was just that Gerard Batten we didn't like. Everyone else in UKIP's great. No, UKIP has always been a pariah party. And it took Nigel Farage, a man of immense charisma, many years to become accepted in the mainstream. It took him a long time. And he's exactly the right kind of guy to get accepted by the mainstream. Like, I just don't worry about it. Because this is another thing, right? So I've been doing I've been putting a lot of effort in for UKIP's social media presence, and it's been going very, very well on their YouTube channel, and my members of my team were doing good work on their other social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, but the sort of internal lords of UKIP have prevented us from doing anything on the YouTube channel or anything on their other social media networks because they are concerned about their ownership of these things or their direct control of them or something. It's like, look, okay, that's all well and good, but you've got the opportunity to really, really, really like take advantage of the fact that elections in the future are going to be decided on social media. Like 5-star in Italy. It's going to be like that. UKIP is polling well with young people because of the alternative media figures that have come in. So why don't we just take advantage of this and keep going? Just keep producing decent content, keep getting people to hear the UKIP side of things and the ideas that we think that are actually going to do some good for the world, for the country at least. But instead, it looks like the NEC are like, well, hang on a second, we want to go and talk to the mainstream media. It's like, they're just going to screw you. When has the mainstream media ever treated UKIP with anything other than derision and contempt? Is my question. I can't think of a time. I mean, I knew who UKIP were long before I joined them, but I never knew anything good about them. I mean, if anything, I thought, they might be a racist, fascist party or something. Obviously, after looking into it, I found that they weren't. But how many people look into it? But that's the way to fix this is by using the YouTube channel and using the social media presence. And not only that, by getting out in the street, going to these places where people are protesting and talking. At every one of these, there should be a UKIP stall with copies of the manifesto, merchandise, and sign-up sheets. You should be canvassing all of these things, getting these people on board. Don't worry about what the media is doing. They are just they're the party of Davos. They're the opposition party, as Steve Bannon would say. Treat them as such. Don't worry about them. You can. I mean, like the UKIP channel, in a month, we got it up to over 1 million views per month, and 75% of them were in the UK. That's really quite good. And if we were to carry on in that regard, and I think that we should, and I think the UKIP channel should be producing a huge amount of content, really, from all sorts of members of the party. And that was another thing as well. So I've been getting my team, who are near London, to go and actually do all of this. So they interviewed peers, although I haven't watched the interview. But they've been interviewing lots of people for the UKIP channel and been doing a really nice job of making it look good. But I guess because of this time of confusion, there's been, oh no, we're not going to put anything up. It's like, no, you should put everything up. Even if it's two people whose opinions contradict one another, that's okay. Let the public see that, look, UKIP isn't a monolith. They don't have, one party line that everyone has to toe. People are allowed to have their own opinions. It's a democratic free speech party, the last one in Britain, well, the last major one, and it's worth presenting that, showing people, look, we're not the Tories or Labour, but anyway, that's it. It's a real missed opportunity that we could be taking advantage of. I mean, if I was given control of the direction of UKIP's YouTube channel, I think I could have them at over 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But obviously, what are we going to do? Anyway, we should be getting a lot of info out there. We should be getting a lot of just interesting conversations. Just Stuff that would make people understand that there is a reasoned position behind what UKIP does, and not, as the media would like to have you think, that we just hate people. Because I haven't met anyone hateful in UKIP yet. And I think that it'd be a really good way to put this across if we just take advantage. But anyway. No UKIP message got out because our leader chose for it not to get out. No. Right? The media fucked you. Right? That's what happened. And they're going to keep fucking you because they see you as an existential threat to their hegemony, to their narrative. They see what UKIP is doing as a threat to their globalist, open borders, socialist / communist favorabilities and sensibilities, right? These are the people who unironically put Ash Sarkar on panels as, the left-wing person. If she's left-wing, then just, like, if you look at, like, BBC Question Time, you'll get Remainer, Ash Sarkar, and then a conservative. And it's like, it's just so shifted to the left. So far to the left. They don't, and they know what they're doing. They are for this stuff. They believe that Ash Sarkar is the future. And because of that, because UKIP are not communists, you guys are screwed. They're never going to treat you fairly unless you get another Nigel Farage. Just saying. And even then, they won't treat you fairly. It's just that Farage is so experienced fighting these people over the past 25 years and, constantly being accused of being this, that, and the other. I mean, come on, this is not new. This is not secret. It's so weird that the NEC appears to be following the sort of mainstream media narrative surrounding UKIP. I wouldn't, if I were you. I'd look at it honestly. I mean, but like I said, just define far right, I suppose. Anyway, I don't believe this is a fair characterization, Piers. Those members who did appear on television or radio spent the whole time defending his decisions on his associations and little or no time on getting across the UKIP message. Yes, but that's because that's what the media wanted. They wanted to use UKIP as the enemy. They want to turn UKIP into essentially what they've done to Tommy Robinson. They want to say, look, these are the bad people, just accept that they're bad, and everything we do is going to frame them in the way that they are, in consideration of the fact that they're bad. You can't win with them. They are professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. And I'll tell you what, right? Piers, let's say that you get your way on this completely, right? You get rid of Gerard, you get rid of anyone controversial in UKIP, right? Which would be a first in the party's history. What do you think they're going to do? They're like, well, okay, now that you've come into the fold, Piers, let's talk about UKIP's opinion on energy in the UK, or anything like that. No, they're going to say, so is UKIP struggling after Gerard Batten? What about Tommy? They're going to keep bringing this up in, frankly, just disingenuous ways. They're not going to let it go. They're not going to give you a fair crack. You need to accept that because it's just the truth and it's not going to change. They hate you. They are not neutral. They are not impartial. They are biased. They're editorializing in everything that they do. They know what they're doing. They consciously consider themselves to be gatekeepers. And UKIP is what they are gatekeeping against, because UKIP might actually change the direction of the country. And they can't have that. The country's going in exactly the direction they want. Open borders, socialistic. They want that kind of thing. That's what they're in favour of. That's what, they're riddled with socialists, riddled with leftist bias. And no one would suggest otherwise. And so to sit there and go, well, UKIP isn't getting a fair crack in the media. No shit, man. All the leadership candidates were invited to an interview by a vetting panel before the NEC allowed them onto the ballot. In Gerard's case, the NEC wanted to know what assurances he could give them. Would he distance himself from his associates? Why would he? Why would he consent to the salami slicing tactics of the media? What on earth good would a disavowal or distancing do? Do you think the media are going to be like, oh yeah, well, but since you distance yourself from Tommy, then we're not going to bring that up again because you've made your decision on that. No, they're going to keep bringing it up constantly. It's never going to end. That's how they try and box people in. By just continually repeating the same narrative, no matter how many years after the fact. They go, oh no, that's what he's known for, because we're the ones who decide that, and we're the ones who make that. But, honestly, just good luck. Good luck getting good coverage from these people, right? Would he get our message out on the television and radio channels? No one is. You're never going to be given a fair hearing. The idea that you think you are is delusional. It is just flatly delusional. The only way you'd get a fair hearing is if you turn around and said, basically, Labour's right on everything. Like, the Tories don't get a fair hearing, man. Honestly. Anyway, never mind. The Tories, the Brexit Party, UKIP, we're never going to get a fair hearing in the media because the media is unbelievably biased. I have to keep saying it, but it's just true. Gerard did not attend the panel, but made it clear that his answers were a sharp no. No, so he didn't, did he? You're just inferring that. But okay, what if they are? What if they are? Why not use your own channels? Why not use your own ability to go out and actually speak to these people? Like, Gerard attends like the veterans rallies and stuff like that. No one else does, as far as I'm aware. He's doing I thought he was doing a good job, frankly. And again, under him, the party membership's growing. Like, you can say, well, I mean, the polls, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there are always reasons for these things. But, like, having a solid base from which you can start operating and start pushing forward, I think is very important. Okay? And the membership was growing. But now I see a lot of people who are angry and go, right, if Batten can't stand, then I'm quitting. These are not necessarily people who would quit if Batten could stand and lost. They'd say, well, fair. I'm sure they'd say, fair enough. That's democracy. You don't win them all. Maybe next time he'll run, and then he'll win then. Who knows? But the decision to prevent him from standing, made on the strength of the mainstream media narrative, is a bad idea. And I think it's going to get a lot of people who joined because of Gerard's indefatigable nature. Is that I think they're going to be like, well, you don't have the spine. Because that's the thing. UKIP needs to have the spine to go, you know what, we reject the things you call us. We know why we stand for what we stand for, and here's why. I don't think the NEC is going to be able to do that, man. But finally, he expressed his reluctance not to stand for the leadership. His reluctance to stand for the leadership, you mean. He said, led the party to its worst ever defeat and would not seek re-election. Even after submitting his papers, I'm sure that UKIP's been in the worst position in this. I'm sure UKIP's had lower than 1%, right? Even after submitting, we were at 3.5%, what are you talking about? But UKIP's had worse, and it will have better in the future. Even after submitting his papers, he still let it be known to many that he was not sure he wanted to continue. Good. Frankly, I think that the problem is that the people who want to lead are those who should be least eligible to do so. It's an old aphorism. Someone who doesn't want to lead should probably be given the job, because at least then they're not going to be doing it for their own ego and grandiosity. Anyway, so so I don't support any of these reasons that Piers has given. I think they're bad reasons, and I do think it's unfair, and apparently there is some kind of legal avenue against what has happened here, which is why Gerard Batten has launched a crowdfunder for his legal action against the NEC. I've put my £50 in when I was in America, because I support Gerard. I think what he's done is very important, and I think it's necessary to have a party that is cognizant of the way the media operates and can continue explaining to the public why the media itself is, well, the enemy of the people, frankly. But this is the thing, it's only been up a day or two. It's only been up in a few days, and already he's raised £5,000 more than, just on the strength of it being him alone. No one else, he hasn't had any media coverage of this, as far as I'm aware. I think this is probably going to be the most media coverage this has had. And yet he's still, just on word of mouth among the membership, he's already raised $5,000 of the 10 grand total, but I think he's hoping to get something like 20 grand in total, so he can actually mount a proper legal challenge. No financial worries there. Because I think that it's fair that he wants to challenge this. I think it's silly. I think it's arbitrary that he's denied the ability to run for the leadership. I think it's being done because of a false media narrative. I think it's bloody silly for UKIP to start capitulating to the narratives that the media creates, but also it just seems unfair. You can't just ban him from running because you don't like him or you don't like what the media have done to UKIP or something like this. Surely it's for the membership to decide who gets to be able to be the next leader. Surely, is that, I mean, it just it seems the democratic thing. It seems like the democratic thing to do is say, well, okay, well, the membership can vote. I mean, that's why they pay their money, and, you know, that's what the point of the NEC is, isn't it? It's the whole point is that it is a democratic party. So why would you take this kind of action unless you wanted to take executive action to steer UKIP in a politically correct direction, which is the only option if you ever want any kind of positive coverage from the media. And I tell you what, if there's one thing that's going to kill UKIP, it'll be becoming a politically correct party. So just accept the fact the media hate you. They are the arbiters of political correctness. UKIP is opposed to political correctness. Therefore, they are your enemies. Get used to it. Fight back. Stop having such little faith in your own membership and say, look, and again, like, honestly, all of your social media, your platforms, you should be having all kinds of different and interesting content put up on there. You know, have interviews with any of the members, any officials from UKIP, any of these sort of things. You can start fighting back. It is entirely possible. All you have to do is want it to be so. But anyway, I'll leave a link to this in the description if anyone wants to support Gerard. And I hope that Gerard is allowed to stand. I don't see why any of this is necessary. I don't see why the NEC are taking such a hardline stance on such a fucking lost cause. You know, just get over it and just get on with it. You know, stop bowing and bending the knee to the media.